Welcome to the All Good Equipment Company. We make Teardrop campers. They're made specifically for 3-day adventures and week-long adventures. They're not made for weeks off-grid, so it's designed specifically for kind of the life that we all really lead, which is about a 3-day weekend or maybe a week-long road trip. This is our rental model. This is all decked out for camping. As you can see, it's kind of got everything you need for as long as you need. One of the things that we do a little differently than other campers is we don't actually use doors. And part of the reason we do that is because, as you can see, you can kind of see everything at a glance, and which is really helpful when you're camping. When I camp, this doesn't look like this. It's a total mess, and I camp with 2 teenagers, and so that doubles it up. So if I have water bottles and stuff here, it makes it hard to open cabinet doors. So we decided, you know what, we're not going to do the cabinet doors. Instead, we'll just go with nice curvy cabinets. One of the benefits of that too is we camp a lot with friends, and our friends have their stuff and we have our stuff. But if I'm missing one of my mugs, I know it just by looking. So it does help us keep track of all these sorts of things. So in here you got sort of dishware for 6. There's 6 bowls, 6 plates. That's kind of the number we settled on because you've got 4 people and then you got 2 extra for dishes. Mugs, beer mugs, and then all the dish stuff you could need. We use real cast iron frying pans, water boiler, French press. This is food storage in non-berry country. In bear country, it's other storage. And then this is kind of general storage for all your gear. Of course, this is the demo, so it doesn't have much in it. Ours is basically packed full with first aid kits, and water bottles, and all the kind of things that we take camping. One of the benefits of a teardrop, any teardrop in general, is that you're basically packed for camping. So when you decide you want to go camping, you know that you have everything you need, which has been a really nice thing for us because it allows us to get out a lot more than we used to. Also, you got a 4-gallon container with a sink that just drains right out the bottom of the trailer into a bin, which we don't have set up right now. Keeps it really simple. If this is, if this gets empty, it's light enough to where I can hand it off to one of the kids to go fill up. This is the sink cover. So everything kind of has, ideally, 2 homes, as is the way of camping. And then up here it's just kind of knives, spoons, tongs. The lighting's a little different too, so instead of building in the lighting, I didn't want to see wires running through here, but one of the things I really didn't want to do was close this with the light on some night and forget about it and then have my battery run down. So I decided to do this. These are just LED rechargeable lights, super common. There's all kinds of different variations. These actually come with the trailer because I think they're pretty cool. They last all weekend long, no problem. I can hand them off to the kids when it's time to go to bed. Just take this to your tent and hopefully we'll see it again. If not, it's replaceable. But the benefit is if I close this with those on, it's no big deal. I just recharge them and I'm back in business. I'm not running down my actual battery. One of the other benefits is you can sort of concentrate the light. So if you're doing a bunch of dishes or if you're trying to find something in here, this does have a light in it. You can't see it in this lighting, but there is a light that automatically turns on when you open the cabinet. So we try to think of everything that somebody might need in the moment and try to make it as effortless as possible. My goal is that you don't even know the camper's there. I mean, obviously that's impossible, but you almost camp as though the camper becomes sort of transparent to your experience, and it just becomes very much a tool that fades into the background, and you know where things are and things kind of meet you where you need them to. Another thing we focus on with these campers, as you can see, sort of the woodwork is a little different than what you see in others. A lot of small camper companies that make these types of campers make very high quality campers. What we do is we use a different type of wood. So we use a kume, which is a marine plywood. It's a BS 1088 standard plywood, which means it's rot resistant and it's also got 0 voids in the cores. It's a little lighter than Baltic birch, probably 20% lighter per panel than Baltic birch. And one of the things I love about it is the color and the feel. So it's nicely filled. We use water-based finishes to finish them. All the hardware is made to feel good to use, right? It gives you really positive engagement. So I call it tactile aesthetics. So the camper itself is very aesthetic, but I also want it to feel good to use as well. In my mind, camping is an aesthetic experience, right? So when you bring gear out there with you, you want to have something that matches that aesthetic. So that's the galley. We also have a little propane sailboat grill. In California, up in the Sierras, probably starting August, sometimes July, you can't have fires for a very good reason, right? What we wanted to do was provide another alternative cooking method. So if you're up there in the late summer, you can't cook over the fire, you might get tired of cooking over your camp stove, so this is just a grill that helps you.
Awesome.
These are our umbrella space awnings in that they give you more space outside. They're just very simple. The idea is that they shield the door, give you some time to get in if it's raining, or some sunshade, keeps the camper a little cooler. And like I said, everything has dual purposes, right? So if you want, you can, well, I won't do it, but you can unclip this and take it with you for a hike or whatever. And it just clips into a hook right here. It's super simple. All right, so this is the cabin. This is, it's meant to feel a little like a sailboat. When we're camping, you know, typically we're kind of off in the woods, and you want a comfortable place to retreat to when the weather gets bad or when it's just time to go to sleep. Again, this is all Akume marine wood. This is finished in a finish called Danish oil, which is used in custom sailboats. Durable and easily refinishable. So if things get banged up over time, you just sand it and add a little bit more finish, and you can bring it back over and over and over again. So one of the themes of this camper is, by using real materials and quality materials, it's consistently renewable. So as you use it over time, it gets a patina, it doesn't get tarnished, right? So if there's something that's egregious that you want to fix, you can, because it's done with very simple methods, and this has very thick plies, so it takes a little sanding, so it's very durable in that regard. The interior is simple, just a cabinet. This is a duffel bag sized upper shelf, lower shelf for, you know, clothes as you're using them, changing them out. This is our central cubby that's used for us. We use it for sunscreen, roll quarters, whatever we need camping. It stays stocked all the time. Board games and stuff up here. Just enough storage to keep us going. Usually these are empty when we're at home, and then we pack them up as we go. This is filled with all the essentials that we always have. On this side, I'll turn around. You've got a long storage. So this is for poles, tarp poles. In this case, our space umbrellas go in here. And then this is just a nice headboard for your book, whatever, earplugs, the keys to the trailer. And then you've got reading lights, which are essential. It's really nice when you're kind of low light to be able to turn these off and just kind of turn on 1 or 2 reading lights at night when it's dark and your eyes have already adjusted to the dark. First trailer I built for my wife and I and our kids, and I built in some USB-A ports, and those quickly sort of became obsolete. So what I've done now is I just use a 12-volt cigarette lighter, and then these adapters come in all shapes and sizes, and whenever the next iteration of USB comes out, you just, so it's always, I'm trying to make it so nothing is built into the cabin that'll make it obsolete over time. Fantastic fan.
Yeah.
Super basic. We replaced the cheap plastic knob with an aluminum one because we just can't leave it alone. And then we have 110 pass-through, so when the trailer's plugged in, if you want to plug in a space heater, we park our trailer outside all year because we do other things with our garage. So I run a sailboat dehumidifier in here over the winter, which is basically consumes like an 80-watt bulb.
Very nice work.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, so this is our brand new trailer. We literally just finished it 2 days ago. It's got the Sierra upgrade package. What that means is basically it's got taller, chunkier tires, the suspension is lifted, brush guards for the tail lights. A couple other options that we've included in this one that are new for this year is the HVAC port. So this is just a stainless steel deck plate. There's a lid that goes in here, but this diesel heater is one we found on Amazon. There's a million of them. There's also air conditioners that you can plug in. So what we wanted to do was provide a way for somebody to port that conditioned air into the trailer. It's not really needed to have air conditioning or a heater in California, but if you're going up in the snow, you'll want it. By the way, our walls and our roof are insulated, so the trailer is fully insulated. So it actually does really well without any of this. However, if you know you're going to go snow camping and you want to bring a heater, or you're headed to Death Valley and you want to bring an air conditioner, you can do that. And what you do is you take the hose, you plug it into the side of the wall here, lock it in, and here, I'll show you. Probably best coming from the other side. Extra water storage. So once you've got your air, the temperature that you like it, you port it in here, and it basically gives you an opportunity to direct it wherever you want. But that's basically gives you some advantage of heat and air conditioning without having the complexity of that built into the trailer. My experience with those, I used to live on boats for a number of years. and I love boats, but boats break all the time. And they're made with the highest quality materials because boats are considered sort of life support systems by the people that manufacture them. But even then, even with the quality that they're made, at that complexity, it's inevitable in those harsh conditions that they're going to break. So my goal for camping is to take as little of that out with me as possible. And so by not building it into the camper, it's not something that I'm maintaining as part of the camper. It's also something that gives me choice in the future. If I want it, I can add it. If I need to upgrade because the power draw is so much less, or there's a 10-fold increase or improvement in the quality of whatever device I'm using, I can do that. I'm not beholden to whatever was built into the cabin by the manufacturer. This one actually doesn't have the mattress in it. We did that for a reason, because all of our trailers come with a folding table. This is the All Good. This one's brand new. Still got the paper in it. This is the All Good folding table, and I'll show you how that works. So it lives in the floor like this, and then over here. So the reason that we do that is because for bear country, we don't want to cook inside the galley. And so to give people a way to not cook inside the galley and not pitch their stove inside the galley, we offer a table. The table is actually made out of the door cutout. Cut that in half and put some legs on it. They're adjustable legs, so it can be coffee table height or it can be stove height. As you see, it's over there being used to hold our stove. But it's also very versatile because it doesn't need to be anywhere near the trailer. So if you're camping with friends and the campfire is over there, you can bring your table with you, which is great because tables are actually really undervalued in camping. Some basic hookups. It has an onboard 10-amp battery charger, so this is how you do it. It's a 110-volt plug-in, not a 30-amp, so you can actually use a regular extension cord. If you want to top up your batteries with solar, there's a solar inlet. We don't do built-in solar panels for the same reason that we don't do built-in much else, because the technology improves year over year over year. It's just like backpacking. What you bring out there with you is critical. This trailer only weighs 1,000 pounds, built to be towed by lightweight cars, or in our case, the Volkswagen bus. So our goal is to keep it as light as possible. So we really consider the gear that we use with it. And by not including it in the trailer is less expensive, and also you have more choice going forward in what gear you bring out with you. The battery storage lives under here. Kind of like this one. If you see like this one, that one will be bigger than this. So this is a 100 amp hour lithium battery, upgradable to up to 300 amp hours, depending on your power needs. This is your solar charge controller. This is the battery, the power handoff, and then this is your 10 amp battery charger.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very clean setup.
Thank you. All right, so a couple notes about how we construct these trailers. I built the first trailer for myself to last 50 years, as long as possible. When we commercialized this product, i.e. when we started this company, I didn't change that at all. So every trailer is built to the same specs that I built the first one. We use the same really, really nice plywood. We put the same attention to detail into the finishes. They take a long time to build, and they're not going to be the cheapest trailer on the market, but as the axiom goes, you get what you pay for, and we hope that that's the case with this. Our goal is that two things happen. Number one, the trailer itself is built with regular abuse to last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but also that you're going to fall in love with it because it's so easy to use and it accommodates you so well that you're actually going to start taking care of it. And you're going to actually be invested in keeping it on the road because it's something you're going to want to keep and your kids are going to want to keep. So that's kind of the philosophy behind good construction. Plus there's an aesthetic to quality, which I hope we embody with this. We don't use some of the latest materials. It's not that we don't like those materials, but there are specific reasons why. So we use very kind of traditional materials. This is mill finish aluminum. It's just raw aluminum. What happens over time is the outer microns oxidize and it becomes essentially inert. And so there's no paint to peel, there's no vinyl decals to fall off. It just stays like this, and if you need to, you can buff it out. We also use the marine plywood, as I mentioned before. We use sheep's wool for our insulation. So when I made the first trailer, I used styrofoam panels. I had 2 garbage bags full of cut-offs, and my shop was filled with little styrofoam nodules. I wanted to do something that was sort of better for us in the shop, but also better for the environment with less waste. And so we found sheep's wool, which is used in the van industry a lot, which is a great material for insulation. So the roof has 1.5 inches of insulation, sheep's wool in it, and then the walls are insulated with 3/4 of an inch of sheep's wool. One of the reasons that we don't use fiberglass or never considered using fiberglass, it's a fantastic material. But the problem is that it lasts for generations, long after the trailer itself has sort of exceeded its life capacity. Again, I'm a sailor. I've lived on sailboats for a number of years. I've seen the waterways clogged with these old derelicts. I've seen these boats that have been used for 50 years where the hull is perfectly intact, and all it's doing is sitting there, and it's going to be there for another, 500 years. So the thought behind it is, what are you bringing out with you? When do you make the commitment to something that's not going to last forever? The idea behind having the plywood is that it ultimately will degrade. And so when this trailer has reached its end of life, the materials that it's composed of will sort of degrade naturally. We try to use as little plastic as possible. 2 reasons for that. Number 1 is metal feels better to touch, and it also degrades a little less over time. But sometimes plastic is the most practical material. And if that's the case, then we use it. We're not against plastic. It's just it's time that I feel like companies start using less plastic if they can. So we do it that way. It's on a steel frame that's powder coated, super rigid, heavy duty, probably more rigid than it needs to be for the weight of the trailer. But the idea behind that again is longevity. We want it to ride right. A couple features on this trailer besides the lift. We've got a extendable tongue or removable tongue. So this extends 12 inches. So that can go to there. So if you have bike rack on the back of your car, this gives you a little bit more room to turn. But if you've got a small garage or whatever, you can keep it small. Or if you want, you can just pull it out entirely. Some people use this as an anti-theft device because there's not a way to tow the trailer. Yeah. You just put this in your truck or your car or whatever and off to the races. And then on this one, we have our tongue box, which is made in the USA, made of heavy gauge aluminum. This is the heaviest gauge aluminum tongue box we could find. Kids like to stand on things. You just can't predict what's going to happen out in the world. Kids like to fall on things. Tongue box is essential, so we wanted to have the best tongue box possible. We pay for it, but over the long run, I think it's worth it. What that allows us to do, we hang the diesel for the heater on one side, and then we have 5 gallons of extra water capacity on the other side. It just makes it a more handy, useful storage device.
Well, thanks, Matt, for the tour. Very nice work.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it.
Thank you.